Hi everyone, welcome to this video supporting students in studying business idea development. My name is Martin, and in this video I'm gonna show you how to fill in the lean canvas model and how to work with the business model canvas. What are the similarities and what are the differences? First of all, I would like to point out that there is a podcast series dealing with the whole process of business idea development, which one part is as well the development of the business model canvas or lean canvas model. Behind me you can see the lean canvas model that we'll go through, and let's get into it. So first of all, you will definitely start with the problem section that is on the left side of the model, which basically indicates the top 3 problems you are listing that you are solving. So if you are listening to our podcast with my friend Andrew, we've been discussing the fact that you should be observing the problems you see in front of you, in your community, and so on and so forth. After that, you are moving on to the customer segments. Very important to point out that the customer segment should match the problem in a way that you need to connect the problem with your customer. Secondly, we are having here the early adopters. Shortly speaking, early adopters are your ideal customers. In other words, those are the people that are willing to pay for your product without knowing that many information of you as you should probably provide. And those early adopters are really important at the beginning of your business, because usually the students of business idea development, they have like lots of creative ideas. They are really developing something new, and the early adopters is very important to take or have in mind. Connected with the customer segments and problems, you are solving a problem to a specific customer, and you should focus on the unique value proposition. What we mean by that is that you are basically showing what is unique on your product or your service that is solving the problems towards the customer. So you can basically see how it's connected, that you start from the problem to the customer to the unique value proposition. This should basically answer the question, why should I buy your product? Moving on, we go to the actual solution. So you connected the problem with the customer, you added the unique value, and now you are presenting it as a one pack in your solution. So basically, you are naming it. Is it a product? Is it a service? Is it an app that solves something towards your clients? Yes, this is where you will write it. After you have a solution, you will move on to the right part, to the channels. So how will you get to know your clients that, hi, this is my solution and I want to sell it to you because it solves your problem and you are my customer, and this is unique about that. So this is what we call channels. Maybe you've heard a term, supply chain management, or like something like a chain management. So this is basically like the process of how you communicate towards your clients and towards your customers. Typically, what students have problems with is that there can be different channels for different customers. Because, of course, you are listing here your target customers, but that doesn't mean that there is just one person in that column. Of course, you can be working, for example, with the concept of the customer persona or anything you like, but you will have some kind of segments. That means groups of people, numbers of people. And you have to always think of how to communicate to a certain group of people, because not every communication works for every customer group or customer segment, if you like. Then, if you know the channels, you will move on to the revenue streams. So, okay, I have my solution. I know how to communicate it. What am I going to ask for it? Like, how much will I get paid? So what are the revenue streams? And here, again, typical mistake is that, all right, I have a product, for example, this presenter, and I'm going to sell it for, I don't know, 500 crowns. That's it. So amount of sold presenters times 500 crowns, that's my revenue. But is it really? Always have in mind that there might be some secondary products usually connected with solution which is like a physical product. There is some service that you can provide because you are an expert, because you are able to design this. And this is as well what you have to or should at least consider to incorporate in the revenue streams. Can you make some money out of advertisement on your websites? I don't know, but you may and you should include it in the revenue streams, especially in the beginning. Because, for example, if you are developing an app, that app would require some maintenance and maybe some customization. Will it be included in the package you are selling? Or will you require additional money for that service? Keep that in mind. Moving on from revenue streams, we have our costs. And costs, very important topic as well, of course. But the point about costs is that students as well typically associate that, okay, I'm going to produce this presenter. It will cost the customer like 500 crowns. So I will produce it for 200, so 300 crowns into my pocket. That's it, full stop. Well, it doesn't work like that, unfortunately. So you have to distinguish between fixed cost and variable costs. Variable costs are the costs that vary based on the amount produced. So for example, if I want to produce 10 presenters, the story would be different if I want to produce 10,000 presenters. Especially when it comes to mass production, we can be speaking about economies of scale that were already discussed in the podcast. And when it comes to the fixed costs, those are the costs that you pay no matter what. So for example, the rent. Your landlord doesn't care about how many pieces of presenters you produce. He cares about if he gets his money. And the rent becomes cheaper and cheaper the more you produce. And very importantly, don't forget your own personal cost. Of course, we've been telling you that your biggest asset at the moment is your time that you can invest to your project. But you need to keep in mind that if you want to sustain the project even after your studies, besides the subjects of business idea development or entrepreneurial practice, you should incorporate your own personal costs, like your monthly wage. Moving on from the costs are key metrics, because if I want to produce something, if I want to pay for something, I need to measure my effectiveness. So what are the key metrics? Key metrics are basically the statistics you need to observe, for example, every single month in order to be able to see whether you are successful or not. And to implement some policies, what to do if I'm too successful or if I'm below my desired key metrics. So can one key metric be amount of number of sold presenters? Of course. Or for example, if I'm doing an advertisement for them, is it like number of clicks, number of orders? What is the key metrics? This is what you will state over there. And finally, we'll go to the unfair advantage, which is most probably the most difficult part of this model because it's so hard to explain and so hard to put into life. But let's try this. So unfair advantage is something that cannot be copied by your competitors. By the way, if you think that you have no competitors, you for sure have at least one. I can promise you and guarantee that. So unfair advantage is something that cannot be copied and helps your product grow. I know that sounds a bit philosophical, but yeah, that's how it goes, and that's how it is actually. So, for example, it can be something like your technological know-how. Or, for example, if I look back outside of this building, we have the CETEC, Central European Institute of Technology. There are a lot of scientists that have a lot of know-how that cannot be copied at all because it's their own research work, protected, blah, blah. But that's something that can bring your unfair advantage. Now we've been introduced to the lean canvas model, and the main difference between the lean canvas and the business model canvas is basically in the three columns: key metrics, unfair advantage, and solution. So instead of these three, we'll have the customer relationship, key resources, and the key activities. So basically, if you want to find out more, I can recommend you to go to strategizer.com, where the authors of the business canvas model, Alexander Osterwalder and Yves Pinier, they put all their insights in there. You can download the model for free, and that's it. One important thing to end this video: these models are meant to be destroyed. Do not take it as like one single task that will last for a lifetime. It doesn't work like that, unfortunately for you. So you need to somehow work with the model constantly, look around your surroundings and update it. And the more you know, the more input you put into the lean canvas or business model canvas. So that will be it for this video. Thank you very much for your attention, and enjoy studying business idea development.